We're told green jobs, though, are the future, that green jobs will save us. And to prove this, they point to Spain. Or at least they used to point to Spain, right? They can't anymore because they're investing in green jobs. They brought nothing but massive debt and necessarily skyrocketed energy costs and even more unemployment. 20% unemployment there. For every one green job created, more than 2 traditional jobs were lost. This is not an economic policy. It's not an energy policy. This is diversion, and this is social engineering. My fellow Americans, this is not the road to national greatness. It is the road to ruin. It's crony capitalism, too, on steroids. The corporatist agenda, big government, big business collaboration, with powerful friends in D.C. who can afford to hire the lobbyists to grease the wheels of government in their favor for these investments. In the interests of certain special interests, the government invests our money in technologies and industries that venture capitalists tell us, nah, those are non-starters. But they'll provide lucrative returns for favored corporate interests with major stakes in these areas. And in the interest of big government, politicians aren't reducing the size of a bloated bureaucracy or cutting spending, though they say now that they'll freeze it. They'll freeze it at historically high, unsustainable levels. This collusion, this isn't competition. It's crony capitalism, and it stifles our economy. It stifles the free market. And with their overregulation and overreach and overtaxation, government makes it increasingly impossible for anyone but cronies to get ahead. And now we're told that our economy is so complicated that only government can plan it for us. Though government created the problem, now government presents itself as the solution, trying to convince us that we can win the future by letting that little intellectual elite in a far distant capital win it for us. But President Reagan said, you can't be for big government, big taxes, and big bureaucracy, and still be for the little guy. And that's who's left out in the cold today. Big business, big labor, big finance, they have seats at the table. The little guy doesn't, but we're the ones left holding the tab. We're paying the bill. This is not the way it's supposed to be. This is not the way it must be. American exceptionalism is not exceptionally big government with a command and control industrial policy. Reagan reminded us, yes, America is a great nation with great purpose in the world, but our greatness is not in government bureaucracy. History has proven again and again when government picks the winners and losers, they're stuck with the losers. And we, the taxpayers, subsidize the failure. We, the taxpayers, subsidize the failures, and in this time, at a crisis point, we do not have the option anymore of subsidizing any more failure. This is a time for choosing again, and the vision we outline here is just as stark as it was in 1964. But we must look over the horizon, as Reagan did. We must see where these unsound policies will ultimately end, and that's in decline and defeat. We face the same choices now as we did then, only now we're in even worse shape. We're no longer the manufacturing powerhouse that we once were. We're no longer a creditor nation. We're deeply, dangerously in debt. The federal government is spending too much, borrowing too much, growing and controlling too much, and this dangerous debt breaks the back of our economy, and it wipes out jobs. As Reagan would say, there are no easy answers, but there are simple ones if we just have the courage to confront our problems squarely. We need to stop spending and cut government back down to size as we teach our children in our homes and in our businesses to live within our means. We must reform entitlement programs in a way that honors our current commitments while we keep faith with future generations. And we desperately need jobs, not from top-down government planning. They'll come from the free market, ingenuity, and the work ethic of ordinary entrepreneurial Americans. We need a vibrant economy. We need a vibrant economy that actually produces and grows and builds things again. A strong, vibrant America that is not grounded just in a service sector, but in a manufacturing and agricultural base that provides our families not just jobs, but with livelihoods. These and responsible resource development are the keys to starting that economic engine. America's decline in manufacturing is not caused just by high labor costs or by some unwillingness of Americans to work hard. It's caused by overregulation and some of the highest corporate taxes in the world. No matter how hard you work, I can tell you, if you enter a marathon with 20-pound weights on your ankles, you're going to lose. We are shackled. We are shackled with those tax rates and the overregulation. But get big government out of the way, and there is no reason that we cannot win. And we are at a crossroad. This is a time for choosing, and the choices before us are as clear now as they were in 1964. Do we still believe in the values that this country was founded on? God-given individual liberty and limited government and free market capitalism? Or do we surrender to big government and a corporatism agenda? Do we believe we can compete and succeed by individual initiative? Or do we need government to take care of us and to plan for us? Do we still have the courage and the will to not only endure, but to soar and to succeed? How we answer will be America's glory or our shame. And these aren't easy questions, because today for many, there is a fear in the air. The little guy, the individual American, made to feel ill-equipped and helpless and afraid in the face of our challenges. First, let's remember, if we do just ask, remember, God doesn't give us that spirit of fear. He gives us a spirit of power and love and a sound mind. Seek that spirit, and we can have courage and confidence to make sound decisions. Friends, we are not helpless. Our future is in our own hands. Our success and our greatness lies in the courage and the hard work of individual Americans. We are an exceptional nation because we were built on, and we are to affirm those values of freedom and hard work. It was those values that inspired Ronald Reagan to build the sturdy wood fences on his beloved ranch. He built them out of strong wood so they would endure, just like our pioneering spirit endures. And those values will lead us back to prosperity. We must connect with them, reconnect with them. We must be as motivated and optimistic as our grandparents and our grandparents were, many of whom started out with nothing, and yet they were able to build a fulfilled life by the sweat of their brow. We must get back to what it is that they believed in. They put their faith in God, not government. They didn't demand bailouts. They didn't need stimulus. They didn't expect anything from anyone. They just wanted, and they fought for, the freedom to have opportunity to work hard. And they just wanted to prosper by their own merits. And if at first they didn't succeed, they took their lumps and they dusted themselves off and they got right back up. They didn't retreat. They tried again until they succeeded. America's great recovery and renewal, it will happen again when we regain the still spine and the moral courage of our grandparents' generation. And by the way, if you need to be reminded of some of those virtues, these are the virtues that are lived by the same great Americans whom you will find in uniform. Our sons, our daughters, our loved ones who take the oath. They pay the price for our freedom. Yes, our United States military is a fine example of the still spine and the moral courage that we need. Recovery and renewal. It starts with all of us, the little guys, exceptional Americans. President Reagan understood this. So today there are a lot of people looking around looking for the next Ronald Reagan. But he was one of a kind, and you're not going to find his kind again. And the Gipper wouldn't want us to spend our time on that anyway. He once put it, "I'm not a great man. I just believe in great ideas." And our hero understood that the transmission of these great ideas to the next generation would ensure the survival and the success of liberty. That's why he instructed us in his farewell address to educate the youth in what it means to be an American. So it is only fitting that his beloved ranch is in the care of the Young America's Foundation, whose mission it is to train and teach the next generation of common sense conservatives to keep the flame of the Reagan Revolution burning bright. And today it is burning bright. I think President Reagan would be so proud of the conservative movement today because we have never been more engaged and more passionate and more willing to put up with what it takes in order to serve. So, no, there isn't one replacement for Reagan, but there are millions who believe in the great ideas that he espoused. There's a whole army of patriotic Davids out there across this great country, ready to stand up and to speak out in defense of liberty. And these Davids aren't afraid to tell Goliath, "Don't tread on me." Here at our time for choosing, let us courageously and confidently meet the challenges before us by sticking to the time-tested truths that Reagan taught us, knowing that America is that shining city on a hill, knowing that God has shed his grace on thee, and know that truth and justice include the issue of life, that every innocent life deserves respect and protection, and it is that truth that determines our resolve to preserve for our children this America, this last best hope for man on earth. And know that we can have peace through strength, even as our allies, like our beloved Israel and others who can appreciate America's efforts and democracy, they look to our union for sense and for strength. And know that we are a force for good in this world, and that is nothing to apologize for. Know that we shall keep our rendezvous with destiny. Young America's Foundation and Reagan Ranch Center, I thank you so much for being part of the solution. So God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you.